Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence of Sound, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thank you so much for checking me out. As always, you know the drill. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. 3 new interviews every single week, a brand new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And I'm so excited today to be talking with Max Collins from Eve 6, a very relevant band, as it's said these days. Hello, Max.
That's right. Hello. Yes. Hyper relevant.
I had to pull this out just because this is my autographed copy that would have
Oh, nice.
I would have gotten that.
When did we scribble that?
This would have been when it came out,
Wow.
What was that, 2002, 1, something like that. So
Yep.
I don't know if we actually met and you did this, or I just received this at the radio station back then. So
Right.
no good story that goes along with it, but
yeah.
But I've got the autograph anyway, so
That's cool.
we're not talking about that. You are back. The band is back anyway with a brand new EP called Grim Value, which is, I mean, you guys are doing some cool things on here. It's a far different sound, I'm going to say, from what was represented back on these days. And I think I read somewhere you had actually said this is the EP that you would have made had you never been signed and gone through the label machine. Is that still how you look at it?
Yeah. I don't know if that's totally accurate. I don't know. I think when we did make those first few records, we were so woefully green, inexperienced, hadn't recorded in the studio before, so we were kind of at the whims of the producer a little bit, who I think, it probably wouldn't have been a record that did well without him. But those people were always shocked when we told them our influences, and they always seemed really unlikely to people. Because John and I in high school were like, we were just record dorks, we were like ordering from K and like getting the Olympia compilations, and like our favorite band was the Mises. And then we made this, radio rock record. We were also listening, of course, to the radio at the time in high school, just not telling our friends we were,
It was an interesting time too, because this was basically more or less the last point in modern history where rock and alternative to that degree was finding its way onto the top 40 charts. That was still kind of common, and you all were there. And I, I don't want to head back to the past too much, but just considering that moment in time, like to be the type of band that you were, not on the top of the rock charts, but on the top of the top 40 charts, and knowing what the culture of pop radio is, what was that like for you? Was that some weird situations?
Yeah, it was very strange. When our first record came out, there really weren't a lot of guitars on the radio. That was very much during the like Lilith Fair kind of whatever wave of techno was happening. There wasn't a lot of guitar music, so we were sort of outliers there. And then when our second record came out, that was in the time of the nu metal testosterone rock thing, and we'd made this kind of Duran-esque pop record, basically. Still had guitars, but definitely wasn't suited for like the alternative radio format at the time. The song that ended up being the single for that, after the first 2 stiffed at rock radio pretty much in comparison to the previous record, was a song that only went to pop radio. And so we went from doing festivals with Kid Rock and Papa Roach to doing festivals with like the Baha Men and whatever Sea Level kind of Britney Spears acts were out at the time. So we've always felt misunderstood.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, and I'll bring it back around to this EP right here with Grim Value, because one of the things that stood out on the first single that we hear with Black Nova, one of the things that attracted me to your music from the beginning was your wordplay. The wordplay that we heard all the way back it still seems very present on this song right here. Where does that come from for you? Because it's literate. There's also this repetition thing that you're really good at. Where does all that come from?
Thanks. Yeah. Well, I kind of write the way I've been writing recently with John, our guitar player, for this new stuff is I'll go in. He has a few kind of rough tracks that he's done. I kind of listen to a few of those, pick whichever one feels the most exciting, and just kind of start making noises with my mouth and getting kind of like a melodic phrase thing that feels compelling. And then I start plugging words in, and I often don't know what I'm talking about until I'm a couple lines in. So yeah, I think I like the play of phonetics. I think the way that words in songs sound is often as important or more important than the content of them. And so I play with that stuff and see where it takes me. But at the same time, it's like, if what I'm saying doesn't end up being important to me, even whether or not it's clear to the listener, then it just doesn't stand up. It ends up getting tossed aside. But it happens in this sort of fugue place where I'm not always totally sure of what's going on until it's done.
Yeah. Well, I know you've talked about, really at least being attracted to the balance of humor and sadness, which I find is a really good sweet spot for any artist. I mean, what takes you there, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite bands, my favorite songs tend to have that going on, and the two are inextricably linked. You can see like you can't have one without the other, kind of. But yeah, I mean, I love the Smiths for that. I love Fountains of Wayne for that. Yeah, so many artists that do it well. Bell and Sebastian,
Mm-hmm.
but like, yeah, and I think another juxtaposition that's fun to toy with that is like having the melody not necessarily, or the feel of the song not necessarily reflect the content of what's being said. And because the goal for me is like, I like it when songs kind of force you into sort of this waking dream thing where it's like, you can't necessarily name it, but that's what makes a thing transcendent. Whereas a song that's super literal and very much about something and serving it up to you on a platter tends to be boring to me.
Yeah. Well, like a lot of those bands that you mentioned, I mean, the other side of the humor and sadness is taking aim at something, but not taking it too serious at the same time. I guess I also find that, within your music and within this EP, it seems like you're doing that. I mean, you are calling out some things, but there is that, just kidding, but am I, with a wink to it the whole time. At least that's what I'm getting from it.
Yeah. I mean, the worst thing is to just like be too self-serious in rock and roll, and I mean, that's just, I don't know, that's not what it's there for me. It's supposed to like give you kind of a feeling of freedom and yeah, I don't know, toy with you a little bit.
You get to do a lot of that. I'll ring a couple more tracks on this record with Bite and Combine. These, they definitely get away from the sound that I think people, if they haven't followed you, but they also sound a lot closer to what you're doing as Chevy Mustang. Like, these feel like they're going in that direction, which if we, can get into that a little bit too. Who and what is Chevy Mustang?
Yeah, Chevy Mustang. That's funny you picked up on that, because I sent Can We Combine to the guys I do Chevy Mustang with after we recorded it, and I was like, look, he's getting into Eve 6 songs. Chevy Mustang is a project that was born of being really, I think, bored on a tour that another band that I sometimes do called Fitness did with a band called Congos that was just very poorly sold. It was like this B market tour, to use industry parlance, and no one came. So we were playing to like very empty rooms, but it was like it ended up being one of the funnest tours I've ever done because it was just fertile ground for just like jokes. I mean, there was just like a spirit of levity about the whole thing. It was good, and I'd had this bit kicking around for a long time, just like a kind of well-meaning, narcissistic, kind of European guy who has a house track called "Because I Want to," and he's just listing all the things that he wants to do. Why? Because he wants to. And so I shared that with the Congos guys and Danny, the guitar player. Those guys all genuinely love dance music and listen to all kinds of weird stuff from all over the world. He started making this track, and we recorded the vocal on the bus. Sorry about the ambient noise here. At like 3:00 in the morning, I had a wad of dip in my lip, and we recorded "Because I Want to," and we just had a lot of fun with that, and then kind of forgot about it. And then when quarantine hit, and we were all, dealing with canceled tours and having nothing to do and going insane, we kind of got back into it and started doing a bit more, and it started to just get these sort of strange, like Jimmy Fallon picked up "Because I Want to" and ended up doing a bit on it where I'm not convinced he knew it was a joke or not. And we've had some really strange collaborators on Chevy Mustang songs, like Evan Rachel Wood and Kevin Federline. And yeah, it's a goofball thing, but we have fun doing it, and I think it definitely did pull me very much out of myself. It's like when you're not yourself, you're not encumbered by your own ego and your own stuff as much. So it's like I ended up finding like some different ways to sort of spit, and I think definitely on "Can We Combine," some of that Chevy Mustang influence showed up. Yeah,
it starts to get in there. I mean,
yeah.
that whole thing about writing in a persona to get out of your songwriting box. I mean, I don't know why more artists don't use that trick at some point in their career, because it does seem very, very helpful. It just kind of allows you. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but it seems like it will allow you to just do whatever that you would never do before.
Yeah. It smashes away all of your own impediments to creativity that you've built up, because you're not dealing with your own ego as much. So there's sort of stuff that I definitely, subjects and ways of singing and articulating that I discovered by doing this totally ridiculous joke project that everyone hates called Chevy Mustang.
I will say, this seems like the musical persona of what, you've got some recent infamy with the Twitter accounts. This seems like the musical persona of what's going on Twitter. Like, there seems like taking the gloves off. I don't know if that's the right phrase and everything, but to a certain degree, like, you might be one of the most honest musicians out there. It's just like, this is what you're going to get, and that comes across in that music as well.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I definitely think Chevy Mustang prepared me for this moment. I was just, it was just happening in a void, and then, but but yeah, I think so. And also the fact that, yeah, I don't know. I've never, I think, taken myself too seriously, and I've always found it kind of funny when bands do. I mean, literally funny, like there's like really, uh, it's fertile comedic ground, folks to take themselves seriously. So when and I can, when I'm doing that to other people on the Twitter, but I'm also very much centering myself in the critiques. And yeah, that's sort of the litmus. Like, is it true? Does it seem like it has some kind of entertainment value? Push it out.
Yeah. Well, the self-referential side of all of this, like for Eve Six to be a band that's associated with an era, and most bands are, most bands, even if you're U2, you're still associated with an era, but it is interesting. Like Eve Six has a handful of great hits. Yet, for some people, it's all pared down to the joke that's been happening, the Heart in a Blender band,
Yeah.
And again, the truth and I know the truth, but what kind of relationship with your past do you have to have at this point to go, I get it?
Yeah, I think you just have to see it for what it is. The Heart in a Blender thing started with me, and so the first, well, it's always what my mom called that song, and I always thought it was funny. And so when I started doing the tweets from the Eve Six account, I'd refer to the song as the Heart in a Blender song. And yeah, it puts it in what I think is its kind of rightful place. Like, I think most hit songs, almost all of them probably, are novelty songs. And I think that doesn't mean they're bad, but like a it's an absurd song in a lot of ways, and it's also, and I'm also that's also not saying it's bad, but it's very much like, it's such, I wrote that song when I was 17 years old. It's guileless to a fault, which is probably why it did well. And I think I just have it compartmentalized there. It's like I don't identify with it at all, so I can have fun with it in, I think, the same way that the audience can, or the Twitter audience can. And that gives me an avenue also conveniently to being able to take aim in the spirit of fun and humor elsewhere. So it has ability.
It's interesting. I find it interesting that you called it a novelty song like that. Do you think it was a novelty song and that's why it became a hit, or did it becoming a hit make it a novelty song?
Well, I don't think it was a novelty song. I think it becoming a hit made it a novelty song, in the sense that when, like, my intention writing it, wasn't like ambitious. I mean, I was just a kid, like, in a band, writing songs in my bedroom. So it's, but the fact that you can, what I'm talking about when I don't say the title of the song, but I say Heart in a Blender. I mean, it has that component of like being immediately identifiable. Yeah, probably because it got played ad nauseum, but also probably because it has elements in it that make that possible. And maybe you could say that you could find that in any great song that's not a novelty song. I kind of don't think so. Like, but yeah, to answer your question, I think it became so as a result of the level of overexposure, and also the fact that it just is wearing its heart on its face.
Right. Well, Yeah, I do want to get back to the EP, the new EP with Grim Value here for a second too, because the one song that I feel like has any connection to that style of the past is Angel of the Supermarket. Like that's the one that I kind of get that, early Eve 6 vibe on. And I don't know if that
Yeah.
was, if you were aware of that, if that was obvious.
Yeah, I can see that. That song definitely fits into like yeah, it's very much like a pop punk song, structurally and melodically. It's got some nods to like Screeching Weasel, which was definitely one of our favorite bands in high school. And yeah, that one, you know, it's just like a cute little love song. It's not, that has some humor in it. She steals shoplifts a potato and stuff. But yeah, I can totally see that. It's got that big major chorus and stuff.
Yeah. But on the far other side, and this goes back to the experimental stuff that you're doing that I'm really a big fan of. You did a recent collaboration with bass drum of death. I can't remember the song title right now, but that side of things, like I like seeing you going on that, because whatever's happening there, that's a completely, I think, original sound. Like, what's the story
Thank
there?
you. Yeah, well, that was a lot of fun. So that song came together in 72 hours, and it began with Bass Drum of Death basically talking shit to me on Twitter and kind of trying to start shit. Started out as a little bit of a feud. I was like, who is this guy? And I looked up the band and the songs, and I was like, oh shit, my hater's really good. That sucks. And so I kind of clapped back. He did the same. That went on for a couple hours. I went to bed. The next morning I woke up, saw a few more tweets from him, and I quote tweeted one of them and just said, I'm sorry I fucked your girlfriend, which harkened back to the beginning of the Eve 6 Twitter when I recalled a story with the guy from Third Eye Blind saying that to me. And after I pushed that out, I got a direct message from Bass Drum saying, dude, I was caught in a snowstorm. I was wasted. I made a fool out of myself. Mea culpa, and I was like, oh man, if anyone has sympathy for the idiot drunk, it's me. And your band's good. And that very quickly led to, we were like, the final act of this is a tour together. And then he was like, well, I got this song kicking around that I haven't been able to finish. What if we did a song together? I said, send it to me. So he sent me the track. I thought it was really cool. Called John, our guitar player, and said, I'm coming over right now. We need to blow minds and get this thing out by Friday. And so I drove over there, wrote the melody to the verse in the car, got there, plugged words in real quick, recorded it, mixed it, and put it out that Friday. Oh. And yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It is. It's cool direction. Like I said, the stuff that you're doing right now, this Chevy, and I should bring it up. Fitness, you said that in there as well. I know you've been doing it the last few years, and that's a lot going on. I mean, what happens next? I mean, we've got an EP right here. Does that lead to a full album? Is there more of the other projects on the way too?
Yeah, we have a full length recorded. So we started doing the EP at the end of 2019, did it pretty quickly, and then just continued writing. I would go over to John's once a week, and we'd usually get a song. So we have a full-length record recorded, no release date or anything for that just yet. But we do have a full-length done. And with the Chevy stuff, it's just like every once in a while we'll do a song, we'll put it out. We have a few. We have a few that are done and ready to come out. They're pretty silly, And yeah, the fitness thing is kind of on the back burner for now. But I love Kenny. He's one of my good friends, and I'm sure we'll do something together again at some point. It's basically right now. I'm focused on Eve 6. Really excited about Can We Combine, which is the next single, and putting out Grim Value in June, and someday getting back out and playing shows again.
I'd like to see that. Like to see it back on the road. Yeah, no man.
Yeah, Sam.
Dude, Max, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Congratulations on this. Again, I know I've complimented you, and I'll try not to over compliment you, but I love what you're doing on Grim Value. I think it's really great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I really, really appreciate that.
No problem, man.
Thanks so much for your time, man.
Yeah, thanks so much for taking the time to talk about it. We'll see you around, hopefully soon.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate it, dude.
All right, take care. Bye.
All right, see ya.